everybody. Hi, it's Becky from PowerToolsWithThread.com. I get asked all the time about what mat to use on the ScanNCut when you are cutting fabric. And I've done one video, I'll put a link to that one right here, about how I was using a purple mat in order to cut fabric. And since then, I've discovered another mat that works, I think, even better, and that is the turquoise or the teal colored low-tack mat. So the clip I'm about to show you was actually done for another video on making one of the chickens in Lori Holt's chicken salad quilt. I thought I would crop it out and put it into this video just for those people who want to cut fabric with their ScanNCut. I want to start off by saying I don't work for Brother. I'm not a Brother employee. I'm not an employee of any store. I'm just a home user like you. These are some of the things I have discovered since I have been using my ScanNCut for many years now to cut fabric pieces in my quilting. And I will say right now, I'm not a vinyl crafter and I'm not a paper crafter. So I really can't answer any questions with any authority on those two particular things that you would want to cut. I pretty much stick just to fabric, cork, that kind of thing. Pretty much if you can find it in a quilt store, then I'll give it a shot and try to cut it on my ScanNCut. On the ScanNCut, there are two different blades you can use as well, and this does not cover the rotary blade. A lot of people ask me about the rotary blade. That is really used for weird to cut things like lace or organza or something like that. I don't have a need for that, so I don't even own a rotary blade. The majority of the cutting that I do is on what is called quilting cotton, and that is usually for applique pieces in quilts or embroidery projects. Between the two blades, the black blade, which is the standard blade, or the gold blade, which is designed for cutting fabrics, when it comes to those, either one will work on cutting quilting cottons. And quilting cottons, whether they are backed with a substrate such as Heat and Bond Light or Hot Fix adhesive, they'll work just fine. Either one of them, because the cutting machine, the ScanNCut SDX models, they know how deep to make the blade to go. It's just that the gold blade was designed by Brother to be a little bit finer cut, so that if you're cutting fabric that does not have a substrate on the back of it, then it'll cut through it just fine. But either one of them will work. Generally, I use the gold blade on my ScanNCut when I am cutting quilting cottons, even if there is Heat and Bond on the back. On the side of the machine, there is a lever for 1 or 2. I always leave my machine on number 1, that's the standard cutting setting, and if the machine needs to be set at number 2, that's generally because you are cutting thicker fabrics, and the machine will tell you that. It will pop up an error message and tell you to switch to number 2, and it'll back the mat out. You can switch it and hit start again, and it'll keep going. Other questions that come up in my videos whenever I show something on the ScanNCut, you'll see a little cup on the side of my machine here holding all my accessories and tools. That's actually a Command shaving cup you're supposed to put in your shower. It works great. I have always put this on my ScanNCut. I find it incredibly helpful. What's the difference between using a standard purple mat and a standard purple mat with the fabric support sheet on it? The fabric support sheet is super sticky, and essentially what it does is it turns your purple standard mat into the gold fabric mat. Sort of, pretty much. It just adds more stickiness. That is very helpful if you have to hold on to something that would be like felt or cork or something that doesn't really, or maybe your purple mat has lost some of its stickiness. You would want to put a fabric support sheet on there as well. The cabinet that my ScanNCut is sitting on was made for me by my husband. They're not commercially available. We do not sell the plans, and he will not make them. I'm sorry. I get asked a bunch about that. I will be making a blog post on my blog for PowerToolsWithThread.com, and I will put the measurements of what the cabinet is, and it's made out of 3/4 inch oak plywood, and I have painted it white, which he hated. A lot of people ask, how do I clean my mats? I just discovered using, this is LA's Totally Awesome. You get this at Dollar General. If you don't have a Dollar General, they sell it online. You get this bottle, it's $1, literally $1. And I will put it on there and it will take off every little bit of fuzz and whatnot. Normally, every time before I use the mat, not after, because they can get dust and dirt even with the shield on them. But before I use my mats, I'll just spritz a little Totally Awesome. I don't saturate it or anything on there real heavy, but I'll spritz some on there and then I just wipe it off. This is a Kirkland, Costco's version of a wipe for your bottom. I like these. They don't have any oil in them, they don't have any alcohol in them, and they don't leave any fiber shreds on your mat. But they are great at getting all of that out, and the Totally Awesome allows the anything that's sticky that's on your mat to come right off and get up out of there, and it just makes it so easy, and it does not damage the mat in any way. I had a gold mat that was an absolute total mess, not sticky at all anymore, and I'll show you. I cleaned half of it with Totally Awesome and the wipe, and half of it I left. This mat, I'll put my hand on it, it's still pretty sticky. That brings me to something else. Don't be afraid to use Scotch tape to hold fabric down on your mat. You can certainly tape down the corners or tape around the sides. If you've got a cut that's going to get real close to the edge of the fabric, like within 1/4 of an inch, I will usually take some Scotch tape and just tape the corners of the fabric to the mat. That's going to prevent that fabric from coming up too close and getting bunched up under the blade. There's nothing wrong at all with doing that, and then just be sure to get the tape off when you're finished, but the tape will not damage your mat at all. So I think that about covers all the questions that are not covered in the clip of the video I'm about to show right here, and I hope this is helpful to kind of clear up some questions you may have about what mat to use and when to use it. I'm getting ready to cut out Edna the chicken for Lori Holt's chicken salad quilt, and I'm at the Brothers ScanNCut. I've already sent the design pieces down to the ScanNCut from the Brother Canvas, and I want to explain a little bit about my process here for cutting fabric on my mats. This is the teal low tack mat. It says it right here, low tack adhesive mat. This is for the ScanNCut. All ScanNCuts use the same color designations. So on the teal mat, which is low tack, if you have what's known as a substrate on the back of your fabric, and on the back of the fabric I have got Heat and Bond Light. All right, I'm going to cut the comb and the wattle out of this, and the paper is still on this. And this Heat and Bond is on in such a way that the fabric looks almost glassy. Okay, you really have to adhere the Heat and Bond Light into the fabric. You want those to be one with the fibers, so you couldn't even really scrape it off with your nail if you tried. You'd have to try pretty hard to do that. When you have that on like this, you can put fabric side up and Heat and Bond side down, because the low tack mat is not going to peel off. Let me move this. The low tack mat, the adhesive on it, is not going to peel off the Heat and Bond from the fabric. If you are using a standard tack mat, which is the purple one, or you're using the gold fabric mat, if you're going to have Heat and Bond on your fabrics, this mat is sticky enough to pull the Heat and Bond off of your fabric. So you would want to put your fabric on, fabric side down, Heat and Bond side up, and I just normally leave the paper on. And then you want to be sure to mirror your images in either canvas or in the ScanNCut before you cut them, because you're cutting them upside down. The idea with the gold fabric mat is that you're not really supposed to use any substrate on the back of your fabric with the fabric mat, because this mat is super, super, super sticky. And that means like you could cut quilt blocks out, your quilt squares to make blocks using this mat right here, because you don't want heat and bond on a quilt block. But I am cutting out pieces that will be put into applique. They're applique pieces, so I do want heat and bond on those. I've gotten a lot of questions and there's a lot of confusion about, because I did one video and it's had a lot of views about cutting fabric using the ScanNCut. And that was before I discovered being able to cut it fabric side up on the teal mat. I was cutting it fabric side down, not heat and bond side down. I was cutting it fabric side down on the purple mat, and it works great. It works just fine, but you have to mirror it. You can even do that here too on the gold mat. You just have to be sure that when you're using a mat, the standard or the gold, it is super, super sticky, and it will take the heat and bond off of your fabric, keep it on your mat, and then you're going to spend an hour scrubbing your mat. Which you can do if you want, but I don't think you want to do that. Okay, you guys, I hope this was helpful and you got a lot out of it. And if you've got any questions, you can leave them below in the comments section, but please give the video a thumbs up and we will talk to you soon. Go sew something. Bye.